the other people here, so I can do the secretary here. So I'll call the meeting to order at 5:02 and ask that we rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's the one who put the agenda together, which is why you found the format a little different and some times there which are suggested, but I'd like us to try and stay within those parameters if possible. The first item of business is the meeting minutes of March 11th.
I'll move them. Second.
Okay, so Ray, John, is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's unanimous. Okay, we've had a request, to have the Honorable Judge Mitchell, present to us. It was not on the agenda. Does anyone on the committee object to having her speak to us now?
Nope.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll be very brief, and I'm not here to argue about a budget or anything. I come from-
You can come anytime.
Nice business, Steve.
I'm gonna want you to.
Yes, please. Next.
Oh,
Paper.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, you haven't said it.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Oh, okay.
This seems very fancy, so I'll stand here, even though I'm going to be very informal. I'm Libby Mitchell. I've been the judge of probate now for 8 and almost a half years. And I wasn't able to attend when our registrar ably presented what she does, but it's called probate court for a reason. It is probate court. And if you take a quick look, I just wanted to make sure you understood the rest of the story. You also may be looking at the last judge of probate in Kennebec County. And I say that not because anybody's never going to run, but there is a bill sitting in the Senate which would end probate judges, county probate judges, at the end of my term. So 2 years from now, it'll be state judges. So I don't know, that's, people have been trying to pass that for almost 50 years now. This may be the year, I don't know. But I thought you should know that is sitting in the Senate now. And it could pass. It goes to the appropriations table. And as a budget committee, you'll appreciate this finesse. Most of the funding takes place in the next legislature. The funding attached to this bill is simply 2 planners for the state court to figure out how we're going to do this. And then the millions of dollars can't kick in when we finally get there. So it'll be a phase-in thing. At this point, even though I don't understand how you can separate the registered probate from the judges, financial decision was to leave them with you and take only the judges. But I don't want you to worry about it, but it truly is in the Senate. It could pass, it could not, I don't know. But I thought you should know about it because it would impact the county at some point or not. But I just wanted to share with you these numbers because I think they're important. The I on there means informal, and those were the things that the estates and things that aren't contested. They're quite simple. I don't mean it that way, but you see, nobody objects. There's a personal representative in place, and so that's what the bulk of the register's job is, and it's fairly straightforward. Everything else requires the judge's signature. And today, for example, I've had 3 hearings. We do minor guardianships, and I'm going to give you a quick example of how expedited we can do things. We had 2 children. When I got there this morning, they were out in the hall. Grandmother was in tears. She was from New Hampshire, from Vermont. She had driven over. The mother was mentally ill, and she had threatened to kill herself and the children. And she was now in the hospital. And people who could act most quickly, often the Department of Health and Human Services sends them to me because I keep them out of foster care. So I can grant an emergency guardianship. That doesn't mean it's long lasting. It has to be reviewed very, very quickly. And that's where guardian ad litem's come in for the children. And that's where attorneys come in for parents or whatever. But we were able to do that. I can do that on a dime. And the same thing is for adult guardianships. I'll just tell you another case we had very recently here in Kennebec. A woman had fallen. She was on the floor of the home she lived with her brother. Somebody finally did a well check on her. She'd been on the floor for 5 days. And when they went to do the well check, got her into the hospital, but she was incapable of making decisions about where she should be placed. And the hospital often calls on the probate court, we need placements. So if there's no family, there's often a state guardian. So we can move quickly. In fact, I did that remotely within 5 minutes when they called me. We still have to have follow-up because due process, and I see you nodding about due process. That is critical in everything we do in the court. But I wanted you to see how many cases we have, and that's a lot. And of those numbers, over 1,000 of them come to me. Today, we had a fight between the children and their stepfather, I guess. The original will was lost. So that becomes a contest. Did she tear it up? Is it still the will? So we have a hearing. We appoint, not in estates and things, but for the guardians and for the parents, they have all the constitutional rights to raise their children. So we have to go out and find lawyers. So if you know any who would like to work for us, not the highest rates, but at least the county is very generous in making sure that we're at least in the ballgame. So those are the things that we do. And I just wanted you to see and feel the judge's position, because those things come to us every day. And in fact, the staff members that you've heard about in the budget, they work directly with me and for me. That's all they do. They have to get the orders ready. They have to sit in, everything's transcribed in case you appeal me for something, and you're welcome to do that. But they work for me. And they are fabulous. And I think you dealt with my deputy register. I agreed that she needed more money than she was getting. She is a law clerk to me. I've never had one of those. She's that good with the law, but she manages these people and she does minor guardianships. I have a woman who does adult guardianships, and another who does estates. That's the crew. The register and one other person who's come to the board does the informals and the budget. And it's the pleasure of presenting that to you. I'm just here in order to make sure that you understood how important this court is in that county. I always call it the gold standard. I'm quite prejudiced. The judge who preceded me was the best. And I am the widow of Jim Mitchell, and he was the judge of probate. And I learned a lot about probate ever before I thought about being a judge. So I wanted to tell you how much I appreciate the support of the commissioners, of the county budget committee. And I know your job is thankless sometimes. We appreciate you. And I wanted you to appreciate our probate court. Thank you.
Thank
So financial review, review the revised budget with the motions made, and are the utilities distributed? Scott, did you give us any handout about that, or is it the one-page thing that showed all the motions?
Those were the motions, this one, yeah.
Okay. Um, So the net change is that we raised the amount of the budget by $31,850. Everybody? Okay, is that
Quick question,
sure?
Ms. Molino, with that 100%, well, the 32, 250, 225 covers benefits also? Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay,
Sure.
anything else on that? Okay, did the utilities get distributed?
Yeah, no,
Not yet. That won't change the bottom line, correct?
no, it's, that we can do later, it's not that big of a deal.
Okay. That one's just hard to do. The next item B is to review the audit. It came out recently and was reviewed by the commissioners, I believe, at your last meeting
Yes.
yesterday. Okay. Can someone report on that for us?
You have a presentation that the auditors did for us.
This one,
Yes.
okay. You know, people are just seeing this as they arrive. Do you have anything you want to ask about?
Did the auditors confirm the reserve account totals roughly? Thank you.
And what are the reserve account totals?
Is that the 171 number?
Yes.
171, 473.
That's in the general fund.
That's the
jail
general fund.
has its own.
And the other one is the sheriff's, 1.7.
171, 473.
And then there was a jail fund also?
Yep.
And that is,
1.7 mil, I believe.
is it listed?
I don't have it exactly beyond that.
Happen to know the number, Scott?
It's about 1.7.
I know I keep hearing that. I was wondering if he had the specific number that was in the audit.
The audit will be
1.7
posted online
million.
probably tomorrow.
It's positive for 1.7 million.
Okay, that's
the
what it
audit.
was.
Yes,
Thank
it is.
you.
Yes.
So that, you, can someone explain to us, Scott, I guess, how those are apportioned? Is the general fund for all of government except the jail? Is the jail for just the jail? Are they really all in one pot? They're just kind of separated?
The treasurer maybe could answer your questions right there, Tom York.
It's all in one pot and it's separated on paper. So Kennebec Savings has cash value.
So there's really like $1.87 million that can be used by the county at large.
Yes.
So they're not dedicated.
It's, there's some dedicated, but mostly undesignated.
Scott, the audit will separate those?
Yep.
Thank you.
Anybody have anything else they want to ask about those two things?
Any management letters?
Yeah, but there really wasn't anything significant.
There never is.
The only thing I will add is, our auditor requested a 75% retainer to do the next year's audit. So 75% for nothing. So we put an RFP out.
Thank you.
You told us that last week. I didn't write it down, but I will today.
Okay.
RFP for a new auditor. Proposal.
Certain auditors are also now turning towns down that they've worked with for many, many years.
Yeah, it's, not many people are going into the business. You know, there are peer reviews required and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
in this state's a little tough.
Okay, then, next item D is to look at the revenues. We have not considered there one of the tabs in the packet. Is that correct, Scott?
Yep.
Tab two. What's it look like on the front?
Unaudited.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Any questions?
Absolutely.
Scott, on this one, you set out the unaudited, okay. Under the year-end projections, we've got several departments with a 5% variance. But then executive has an over 12%.
Yeah, that's because of the, healthcare. Remember I was talking about the distribution of
Okay,
healthcare
thank you.
and that I didn't budget too well for it.
So that's your makeup?
Yeah, if you take the cross section, I don't know what it is off the top of my head of all the departments, I think we're in pretty good shape.
Well, that should be pretty flat next year.
Yeah, as we get more experience on that, we're zeroing in.
Yep.
And the only other, I would say variable is people changing their healthcare plans within departments. That's the only thing that might affect those a little bit.
Where in the spreadsheets do we account for transferring anything from fund balance to affect the bottom line?
That's on the tax distribution schedule.
Which is in tab.
I don't know, I think.
Way back.
No,
No, I think it's one of the
Tab
first
three.
ones. Oh, is it? Tab three, yeah. At the very bottom, you'll see the appropriation of fund balance.
I'm looking at.
Going back to the, revenue numbers, there's a sizable increase in one of these from 200 to 450,000. It's 504 jail community correction.
Yeah. So the problem
is
with
that?
community corrections is the statutory language. Basically, what it is you're taking 25% of the county jail operations fund and applying it to community corrections line. That's in statute. I don't think that's been done in past years properly. So this is actually 25% of what we think we're going to get. And if you notice, there's an offset up on the R5055 line.
Yeah,
So,
5065.
yeah. So there's a huge problem in trying to determine what the county jail operations funds money from the state is going to give you because we're using, we're doing our budget now. We won't know until August what the money is.
That should be corrected with your new bill that they've got in there, right?
If it
If it
passes.
passes.
Say, I'm sorry, Patsy.
There's a bill in there that seems to be going through the process, and if it does, that maybe will be corrected. There won't be a guesswork in the
So
25%.
basically, they'll be using population data from the
Right.
prior year instead of the current
Yeah,
year.
you explained that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that'll smooth out the
Well-
peaks and valleys
Yeah, well,
or,
we aren't guessing.
Yeah, you won't have to guess it.
Right. We'll know what it should be.
You can put your Ouija board away.
Yeah, pretty much.
Tom, I have a question for you. The sheet on our revenue sheets, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's a summary of the revenues. Indicates a interest of $350,000 revenue. I want to know how you're doing. I want to be able to write it down, but I want to know how you're doing that on $1.8 million. That's,
Well, it's based on all of the tax revenue, but we also have had.
or for the year. So
Yeah,
okay. So
and then plus we had ARPA, which helps as well, but that'll be going away.
So that's the money that all the towns and cities pay in advance. That the county
doesn't
holds
use-
to pay their expenses over the year and they earn interest on it.
A lot of that though is, like Scott said, ARPA funds. We wouldn't have that interest if it hadn't been
You don't have
3 million.
You still have ARPA funds?
We still have some, that's all designated.
Well,
But
we've
still
got
in-
some projects that are, they're gonna be waiting till the summer for completion because they're construction projects.
Do we know how much is left in the ARPA funds?
Yeah, about 1.5 to 1.7 million.
Yeah.
Something like that, about right, Audrey?
Correct,
Yeah.
1.6 and change.
And those are
Hoping
net.
you had some magic formula.
So where does your interest income, how do you get that? Do you roll your money over every night into a interest paying account? Do you have
Yes.
some sort of magic bank you put it in?
We roll it into it's a sweep.
It's a sweep.
It's,
Okay.
we do that, and we also, a portion of the funds that we have remaining for the current fiscal year, we just put into a CD, 13-week CD. So that is giving us, I believe, 3.65%. So it's higher than the 3.02% that we're earning in interest.
In the sweep account,
Right.
$27 million paid
No.
up front by all the communities.
The ARPA,
No.
Oh.
no.
Tax revenue.
The tax.
Tax revenue.
tax revenue.
That has, at 3%, that's a pretty good chunk of change.
And
Now, I know you're spending it down, but still at the same time, if you get it from every town up front, the beginning point is $27 million if this budget passes.
Yeah, but Ray, it also offsets the bottom line tax rate, that interest. So it does flow down to the bottom line, property tax amount. It's an offset.
I'm not following that.
Well,
If you have $27 million
It's,
in an account,
so the county earns about $4 to $5 million of its own, part of which is the interest, which is an offset to the 27 million you're talking about.
so that's used as an offset to the total tax bill?
Yep,
So the real tax bill is 27.5 plus 4?
no,
No, minus.
minus.
Yes, I'm not following.
You subtract all of the revenue that the county earns, like the deeds earns about $1 million. They're all right there, the estimates. And then the money from the state, those are all offsets to the total expenditures. And then that's the amount to be raised by taxes.
You're still sitting on $27 million at the beginning of the,
No, we're not.
oh, come on now, I'm not following you.
I know. 27 million are your total expenditures, okay?
okay, it would be this number in the state valuation. So it's about $22 million.
Yep.
But that's only for 1 month because then that
Well,
gets
I
spent
know,
down.
I
and-
understand it gets spent down, but
Decreasing.
it's still a pretty significant amount of money. And you're telling us that you're expecting 350,000 in interest.
Well, that's a number that I asked finance for. You know, and anybody who does budgeting knows you don't overestimate your revenues. Because if you come up short,
Absolutely.
then you've just dug yourself a hole. So, you know, and then two, the ones that are highlighted in green are the only ones I received input from the departments. So I think if you look at the other ones, they're probably flat.
Probably the same numbers last year, yes. You anticipate that those are under?
They're not my department, so I can't speak to them.
What's your history with them? Have they?
Well, if you look off to the left, you've got 3 years of actuals there.
So for instance, probate has not revised theirs, it looks like since maybe FY 22. And they brought in 311 last year, not this current year. So maybe their estimate should have been higher.
If you go to line 5075, which is the sheriff's miscellaneous revenue. In 25, you brought in 33,000. But the estimate here is 5,000. That's quite a difference.
And I'm not sure how they came up with that number. That could be the revenue for, civil.
No, civil's not in this.
It's not in civil.
And then there's special details, which,
At 184 in fiscal 25, and it's listed as 85,000. And that number wasn't submitted, either one of those.
there was no submission from your office to say, oh, look, we've been collecting over $100,000. We could bump this up from 85 to closer to 200 perhaps. But it doesn't show that. So
And to follow, we only have one reimbursement, it looks like, coming from school resource officer. Don't we have 3 resource officers?
Right here.
And do all 3 towns pay?
Yes, $100,000.
Okay, so in your revenue budget number, because you guys didn't submit one, it says 95,000.
Should be 3 times.
So we should make that 300,000.
It should be 300,000. And all that does, and again, we're not for profit here. Okay,
Right.
it's really kind of a wash, so that
That's not against your department, it's just against the total of the budget we're
Those
looking
come
at.
from on and fine. That's where we're looking at.
I leave the numbers to finance and Scott.
I understand.
Audrey, who does that?
For the revenue,
Yeah,
that's usually the finance director and the administrator. Collected
So-
from department,
Yeah, that's not really,
no,
I don't establish, nor does the finance department, the agreements with these schools. So we find out usually after the agreement's made. So if we have 3 and we're charging them $100,000, then obviously the math is simple. But when I do the budget, I ask the departments to tell me what they anticipate in revenue for the following year, because I don't manage their contracts, they do.
so I'm hearing from the department that it could be 300,000 for the school resource officer.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Okay. And the special revenue detail has been over the last 3 years, 71,000, 124,000, 184,000. And it's listed as 85.
And we have no idea how they come up with those numbers. We just don't know how that happens, because our special details, again, pay just enough so that,
It's a break even.
we can pay for administrative costs, a little bit of maintenance on our cars, but for the most part, it's not really a big number.
I'm not, so none of us are hearing an actual answer on this. So I'm gonna go back to Audrey, since you're here from finance tonight and Scott said you're it.
I didn't say
Mr.
that.
Mr. Atkins, not you. Is there a better number we should be using on that 5,000?
I will actually say based on the prior year's numbers that they could be adjusted, but that is certainly, I'm not the director of finance and where.
So I'll speak to it so Audrey doesn't have to. So again, this is based on agreements that the sheriff's office has with local municipalities. So if they know that they're in fiscal year 27 going to be over in China or over here, and they have agreements to do patrols or special events, then those numbers will be added up based on the number of hours. The problem is I don't think you know what you're actually going to be doing next year. So given the history, if you were to ask me what I would do, I would probably change the 85 to something like maybe 120 or 125. I wouldn't get too crazy with that number because again, you never overestimate on revenue.
Fully agree with you on that. I'm not arguing that point. I was just trying to get some more
Yeah,
realistic numbers in
I
this.
agree.
this.
But like Scott said, we cannot even come up with a realistic number for special detail rates. We have no idea how much Chelsea is gonna use us, Reed Field, China, Wayne, when they want us.
But it seems that the trend has been that you are being used and at an increasing dollar amount, whether that's an increasing number of hours, we don't know. So
I would probably average the 3 years because I think we've had some billing issues where things have come in late and cross fiscal years.
are there any other lines that people have questions about?
Scott, the tax bills that are sent to the towns are due when? Is it November 15th?
I think, yeah, it's in the end of September, I think.
No, you're sending them out at the end of.
Oh, yeah.
October 1. They're,
Yeah.
no, they're not due October 1. They're due October 1? October 1. And so your fiscal year starts July 1. So you've got 3 months, you must pay the carryover.
Yeah, that would be the only option.
Right. Yeah, I'm leaving this.
Okay.
So how do you carry over 25% of your budget?
Well, you're looking at what we carry over. It's,
You do?
well, it's
The 171,000?
yeah, and then
Plus the
1.7 million, yeah.
Well, that's your reserve account, but that's not what you're carrying over.
Well, it's part of it, yeah.
Right, but it's not what you're carrying over. You can't run a $24 million annual
We
budget.
run about $1 million a month in
Right.
expenditures. Well,
$2 million a
depends.
month.
Yeah, well, 2 million, but it depends, well, with payroll. I'm
So
just talking about accounts payable, but you're right.
But so we got $6 million somewhere that we've got to have at the end of June 30th to pay off. So that's part of what you're earning interest in. Now, my only problem with that is that what you're earning interest on is what you've collected from towns without having any interest from them a year before that, or 15 months in that case, some cases. So the towns are, it's a, I won't call it a Ponzi scheme, but it's a little bit of, and I don't blame, it's not your fault, but it's a financial burden to the towns to pay a year ahead of time on some of the, 25% of their revenues when you won't be using them till the next fiscal year. So that's one of the reasons that the law was changed to allow multiple dates for billing
Yeah,
from the
but
county.
the law didn't do what you thought it did,
Well, it did what I intended it to.
but it's still due when it's due. That didn't change.
Is that comp law?
No, but you can,
You got to have paid the total amount by October 1.
Right. It allows you to make
No, that's,
installments, but it's all due
let's
when it's
back up
due.
though.
Yeah.
The October 1 date is set by the commissioners, not by law. So it's not in the law. The commissioners set the due date.
No, it is by law because we can charge interest after that date.
That's right. You set the date. Every county can be different.
Not so sure. I'll have to look that up.
Okay. But anyway,
I have it right here.
what's it say?
What's,
I got enough for everybody to read. I would like to take and say that, I'd like to ask permission that we take in and we talk about this because my town of Oakland pays $1 million on November, on October 1st. And it's a burden.
Thank
So you won't talk.
When a county tax is authorized, the county commissioner shall apportion it upon the municipalities, organized, unorganized territory, and other places in that county according to the most recent state valuation. They may add to the sum authorized an amount not exceeding 2% of that sum if the fractional division necessitates that addition, if that demonstrates that necessity on the record of that apportionment. County commissioner shall establish the date or dates for the tax payment of the tax. The date may not be any earlier than the first day of the following September. Can't be any earlier. No later than the 15th of July preceding the date established for payment of tax, county commissioners shall issue their warrant to the assessors of the municipalities and other places and to the state tax assessor for the unorganized territory within the county. These officers shall assess the sum apportioned to their tax jurisdiction, commit their assessment for collection in the same manner as other amounts to be raised by the property tax during the tax year to which the county tax warrant applies. If your municipality or place on the state tax assessor must make a supplemental assessment due to failure by the county commissioner to issue their warrant by 15 July, the county must bear the cost of the supplemental assessment. These costs may be recovered by the tax jurisdiction through an offset against the county tax in that tax jurisdiction, but otherwise be required to pay over to the county. County may collect delinquent taxes, county taxes, and charge an interest on delinquent as provided under Title 36, blah, blah, blah. Commissioner set the date the taxes are due
After 1st of September.
after the 1st of September.
Well, it can be September 1st onward.
But during COVID, the commissioner very nicely, 5, 6, 7 years ago, allowed the towns to pay their first installment on the regular date, the second installment by February 1st. That was quite helpful. Because we don't collect taxes in this county. I think only 4 or 5 of the towns or cities collect taxes, any taxes, before the due date that the county taxes are due. So we're paying out of anticipation and not out of revenue. That's not reasonable. As the financial plan. I'm sure that's not something you would do. That's why I went to the legislature and had the legislation changed to add 4 dates from date. Because last year you pointed out correctly that they said it was a date that the board set, the commissioner set for due taxes. I thought, well, that's a good point. Let's work on that. But anyway, that's going to be
You read it a little quickly.
okay.
It's okay. I don't think it said in here that it had to be a date. It says shall establish the date or dates for the
Right.
payment of the tax. So is that implying that there could be multiple dates?
That's correct.
Yes.
So the
That
count,
was the amendment.
okay,
That was the only amendment.
it's the only underlying piece.
It's the only amendment for
Okay,
last year. Anyway, that's came up early, but I was going to wait until the end to bring that up. So that for consideration later on.
okay, so you're gonna come back to that.
Yeah, because it's really has to do with
Pretty critical.
policy versus
Want to just,
revenue.
why not just do it right now?
We just make a motion and ask them.
Can we
I'll
make a
take
motion?
it.
It's a motion of consideration.
We're on it, we're on it.
I would have, I'd make a motion that we ask the commissioners to consider a second date for the second half of the taxes to be 1st of February.
Well,
Which
then I would be adjusting the interest number then.
Of course,
Can we elaborate
But
on
that's
that
our-
for just a second? Instead of 2, can we go quarterly? Because some towns are really pressed for money. And I'd like to make a motion, go quarterly, and people can do it however. they want.
let me make my motion, then you can offer an amendment. if you like.
Right, there you go.
After a second. But anyway, that would be my motion to follow the pattern that was done during COVID, for the first payment would be due in its normal proceedings, and then as stated, and the second one would be due the 1st of February.
So 10-1 and 2-1.
Yes. If 10-1's the right, I thought it was, I didn't think it was 10-1.
Is there anyone who wants to second that? Here. Thank you. Discussion.
Got to vote.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm just gonna go all right.
Discussion, make a move.
I'd like to make an amendment to that. And allow the towns to make 4 payments instead of 2. And do it quarterly. Each part of the year.
And I'll second his amendment to make it a quarterly payment.
Discussion.
Absolutely.
My reason for doing it this way is to break it in a little easy. I think we'd be overstretching. I don't think quarterly, it's the commissioner's decision. I'm not gonna ask them, but I would suspect that that's not gonna happen. Quarterly. It causes too much. And they don't have to bill quarterly. Payments are due quarterly. I think most towns send out one bill and cover both halves of the year. They could do the same thing, so it's not a billing issue. But quarterly, I think is unreasonable at this point without getting some time under the belt if the commissioners will agree to do it twice a year. That's my point.
John, one of my problems with your motion for February is that in our town at least, those bills, those secondary bills come due at the end of March, by the end of March.
Yeah.
And that really doesn't help a lot moving it to February. Moving it to April 1st, October and April, 6 months apart, allows for collection of taxes. The people who pay in 2 halves who have paid their taxes, and the town's coffers to be re-energized.
The problem with that is that you'd end up, April is 3/4 of the way through the year.
April is 7 months.
So you can't,
But we're already, October's already into the year.
no, I understand that, but
By
they can carry over enough to get them through to October. But then to ask, I mean, April, you still have it's even, April is 75% through the year. So they're only gonna collect half the revenue for 75% of the year.
My
don't want-
argument is that February doesn't really help the town.
It's interesting. I wish I had thought about it ahead of time. I did a poll back before I did this a couple of years ago of every community, went to every town clerk and got the dates, and I've got that on a spreadsheet, but I didn't bring it. But when I did that, I looked at it, and that's the reason I wanted this the first time, because if you go to October, there's like 3 towns that collect taxes out of 31 by October. And then the rest of them do it after that, because some of our communities are on a calendar year, not on a fiscal year. And that's what messes it all up. So anyway, that's where I stand.
I see your point
Yeah.
about the calendar year versus the fiscal year.
If
Anyway.
the town can pay in February rather than in October, there is still a benefit to that.
Yeah, they get to make the interest.
They
I mean,
collect interest on the.
well, I mean, there's still a benefit to the town, even though it's not as great a benefit as waiting till April.
It is better.
Right.
I know when they did it several years ago, it made it easier on a couple of towns that I thought. I mean, as far as, because, well, that just made it easier. It's not gonna cure it. I mean, we'll never do that.
No. It's still gotta be paid, Joe.
That's right. I know.
So I guess the question I have for Scott or Audrey, do you recall, Scott, you probably weren't here then, or may not have been here then.
No, he wasn't here.
Do we know what impact that had on the county?
I wasn't here during COVID.
Nobody was here.
I was.
During.
Oh, were you?
She's 16.
How did that work out?
Did you-
Libby was here, she's.
Did you get your paycheck every week?
Between admin and finance, we're all relatively.
Every
Okay.
For the last 4 years,
Okay.
max.
Patsy, you were here, yes?
I don't know that Kenny Beck did that during COVID.
Yes, we did. Who was the chairman? The guy from Vienna or Mount Vernon from the budget committee? I don't remember his name. He passed away, unfortunately. I can't remember his name.
Okay.
He was the chairman. They had the meetings by Zoom. And
They had the meetings by Zoom,
yeah,
yeah, but I
the
don't
budget
remember
committee
that.
meetings. Well, even if they don't, I'll make my motion. But
Oh,
I
it's
know
already
they did
made.
because we paid the bill.
So thank you. There is no answer to my question because there's no history here. That's a good reason for trying to keep some employees for a longer period of time. Institutional knowledge is actually very useful for
Yes,
them.
that's.
And it may, I'm sure the records exist somewhere and someone could look it up and find an answer, but that there's a difference in being anecdotal.
Does that impact the towns though, because they have to pay all the bills and they have to figure out, some of the people in the towns don't pay their taxes. So is that a problem for the towns?
The people don't pay their taxes?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be smart.
They haven't paid it. Like
Oh, it
that,
is a problem. We have,
yeah,
most of the towns don't collect it by the time you guys put the date into, we don't bill it until after, it's not, first installment is not due.
we don't send bills out, though. The towns do,
No, you don't. The county sends a bill out to the town for,
right, just one bill.
that's correct. And it's all due before we even collect tax money.
Yeah, but
You see what I mean? If we don't collect tax till 1 November,
right.
you send the bill out in September, it's due the 15th.
Sure.
So you said most of the towns are on a calendar year, correct?
No, I said some of them.
Some of them.
And there's like
So
4, I
most-
think,
Most likely they're doing a tan anyway, correct?
doing a,
Tax
And
anticipation notice.
Anticipation.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, I
I'd
mean,
have to.
we don't do a tax anticipation note. We have to pay you guys.
Okay.
We don't
You
have.
know, Like,
A majority of the board here.
you know, like, I was on the Belgrade Budget Committee for quite a few years. And they always did it tan. But they'd have $5 million in the bank. And I said, why aren't you borrowing from yourself? And what are you doing a tan? So, you know, you're always asking about our fund balance. I would ask about your fund balance. I mean, you know,
No, you don't.
so.
We have 1,160 people.
Yeah, so, you know, I think it sort of goes both ways, at least, you know, if I'm looking at this from a strict financial standpoint. You know, I hear what you're saying, but if you're like Belgrade, and you're sitting on a ton of fund balance, I'm not having that much sympathy for you.
Well, you know,
I look-
you
I
do
look at-
understand, Scott, you do understand that a town is supposed to have 3 months reserved
2 to 3.
Well, look
to
at the
cover the
county.
school budget, to cover the county budget, and to cover the town
Yeah,
budget.
I've
That's
heard
quite
that
a chunk
before.
of change.
Yeah. I've heard that.
Scott, let me back up. A town collects, starts its fiscal year, let's say if it's a fiscal year, on July 1st. Between July 1st and when the county bills for taxes, we still have to pay all our bills. And then on top of that,
So do we.
yes, but I'm still paying, under my motion, you're getting 6 months income, 3 months into the year. And you're carrying over money already, so I'm not disrupting that at all. But then you send a
Yeah,
bill
but
out,
I'm also-
wait, hang on, you send a bill out to the town. And the town, and that's
So,
$350,000. That's a seventh of our total tax bill,
so your motion was to have the second payment in, what was it?
February 1st,
Yeah.
due by February 1st.
So that's 8 months later.
That's the second.
Yeah, so basically you're saying, I'll give you 6 months. but I'll give you the rest of the money after 8 months.
No, I'm giving you 6 months after your first payment.
Yeah. So you're giving me upfront 6 months.
And you paid your
And then the
carryover.
second payment's coming on the 8th month.
Right. That's right. And the reason being is that,
So I've got 6 months that I've now got to stretch out to 8 months.
no, you've got the carryover that carry already to the
Oh.
date.
The carryover, the 171,000,
You're doing it now and you've done it for 50 years. The county has.
that's because we get the money up front.
No, that's because they're not getting the money. They don't get the money till the November.
I
I know you don't like it, but that's not an issue.
honestly, it doesn't really matter to me either way because the commission is gonna make the decision on that.
Oh, right. They'll
And I'll have
they'll
to
ask for a
live with-
recommendation.
Yeah, I'll have to live with whatever they decide, that's all.
What would you recommend when they ask for the recommendation?
Oh, what would I recommend?
Yeah.
He wants it all at once.
Well, sure, I mean,
Of course he
who
does.
wouldn't? I mean, with the old saying of.
Somebody that's
bird
got
in
the
hand.
empathy for a community.
What's that?
The person who wouldn't would be the person who has some empathy for the community.
Well, I pay taxes in Belgrade.
Right, and if you carry over $5 million, you're a lot luckier than the 1,100 people I'm dealing with in my little town of Fayette.
Well,
We don't get carryover like that. We have no commercial business, none. All right, point made, sorry.
Okay, does anyone have anything new to add to the discussion?
Prolonged it out more than.
It's okay.
Go ahead.
All right, so we have an amendment on the floor, which is to ask the county commissioners to establish quarterly payments. So I'd like to vote on the amendment.
So that's the second yet.
Yes, it was by Ray.
I second.
Yep.
Sorry.
By Mike, seconded by Ray.
Thank you.
After listening to Joe,
Yeah.
I'd like to hold my statement back. And ask for a vote to take.
Do you want to withdraw your amendment?
Withdraw my, I'd like to vote back, withdraw my second.
I'll withdraw the second, and we'll go with John's
Thank you.
original motion.
Good job.
Go back to that.
You just want me to have to type more before.
No, didn't
Wow.
want that.
Only part of it.
Could you repeat the motion that you're voting on?
Oh, it's pretty, I probably have to get it from the tape, but it's essentially to ask the commissioners to establish towns and cities to make county tax payments in 2 payments on October 1st and February 1st.
Thank you.
Was that pretty much it?
October 1st is the date, I don't recall it, but that's,
Yes.
yes.
I mean, you could make it for September 1st and February 1st, whatever. Okay.
I don't want to ruin their first.
Is there any discussion on the original motion, which is the only one on the? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion?
Yes. We go back to the special detail revenue line item, I think you'd ask for a 3-year average.
Yep.
3-year average I got was 126,652. Past 3 fiscal years.
And Scott had suggested that we use 125,000.
So
On average of the last 3 years, because I
You're
think
good.
sometimes they're,
But Scott, isn't that when we bring in that revenue, or when they pay for the special detail, that's for the whole year from throughout. But then you gotta pay out, that's not actually the revenue.
Well, it just goes against your expenditure.
Right.
But your expenditure is in there
The
already.
expenditure is 100%.
Can't look at it like a checkbook. We don't understand.
Yeah.
This is,
yeah, this is just.
In the
gross
budget
revenue.
that you gave us,
Yeah,
the request,
sure.
it has everything you thought you were going to have to pay out to run your department similarly to this past year.
now you set that aside.
So that includes all these special details that you had.
Yeah, well, and again, if we brought in $126,000 for revenue for special details, we probably paid out $120,000 for payroll, FICA, of all that
Yes.
stuff that goes along with. So actually, the only revenue that we make is like $5,000.
Net.
Well, only if you didn't, but to get your reasoning, you have to pull the 120,000 out of your budget request. If you want to pull out the 125,000 income. So,
It's not like Chris said, it's not a checkbook.
No, but we understand that.
the real thing to look at Ed, is that it's been
You gotta-
increasing over the years and it's been averaging about 125,000. So that's a more realistic number to have in the
But our
budget.
rates have gone up and we've had more interest in people doing this. So
That's good. That's good. That number may actually go up some more.
You bring in $1 and you pay out 98 cents.
No, you can't look at it like that. That's not how it works.
Well,
98 cents.
sure it is.
But the 98
That's how it
cents,
works.
That's exactly how it works.
No, that's right.
the 98 cents is already in the budget.
Right.
Makes no difference.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, the cost is in the budget. This is just a deduct from the cost. Right?
Right?
So,
Right.
that's fine.
So Scott, on the revenue side, this is a secretary question now. Do we have to make a motion? Yes. Okay.
Anytime you change a number in the budget, you have to make a motion.
Are there, so then, fund balance is on this sheet,
It's on the tax distribution.
it's on this sheet.
Yeah, the bottom.
Okay, and there's a recommendation to use none for this year as I'm reading this. Is
Out of
that
the
correct?
general fund, but 500,000 from Tara and opioid.
What is the first one? Tara?
Tara.
Tara. Oh, the criminal.
Yeah, it's at the very bottom.
Addiction and Recovery Academy has 250, the opioid is 250.
250.
Yeah, see, these are the offsets. This is the revenue.
Everybody see what that is down here at the bottom?
4.220.
Okay. Yeah, that's the revenue we generate, which is interesting in there.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
And,
everything.
and so the line right under that surplus from undesignated fund balance is where we have nothing.
See, because we only have 171,000 in the actual general fund, so we're taking this, these are really jail accounts.
Okay.
The bottom two,
Yes,
okay, and the 4,220,000.
that's the revenue that the county generates.
Like deeds makes
Deeds,
850,000, things that are listed out here.
If we,
Here.
so if we move that out,
Oh,
if we increase those numbers, then that number.
Yeah, right.
Just
Yeah.
being clear.
So you literally have two motions that sort of in limbo right now.
Oh, I know.
Revenues.
I'm on it. Sort of.
I have faith in that one.
Okay.
These are not.
So,
So down here.
okay, so we're gonna have, yeah, right. Right.
177.
So I'm gonna be looking to my fellow budget committee members to make motions, which I'm gonna give you sort of. So you're gonna move to increase revenue. Because we've noted two places and we're still discussing the fund balance. So I'll need the line number, the title and the amount.
R 5077, special detail revenue.
Yep.
We're proposing 120,000.
125.
125.
Okay, so we're gonna move it from 85,000,
120.
and that's an increase of how much? $40,000. And are you making that motion, Ray?
I am.
Also have helps.
Okay, so that is Ray and Charlie.
Eric.
Stop that. And Scott's not even here to
He's not even-
appreciate this.
You can hear it.
Beautiful.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna be sure. Is there any discussion further on this motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? That is unanimous. Okay, and there's another one that will read the same.
It was 5079, school resource officer.
Yep.
And we're moving it from 95,000 to 300,000.
Which is an increase of 205.
Yes, it is. And that's a motion.
I'll second it.
Who wants it?
You can have it.
Mike.
Mike can have it, okay.
Scary.
So I have a motion and a second on the floor to change line R 5079, school resource officer from 95,000 to 300,000, an increase of $205,000. Is there any more discussion?
I asked the sheriff one question on that one.
Of course.
They don't pay 75% of their wages, they pay 100,000, they pay 100% of it.
It pays for their benefits and their wages.
Yeah,
For the
100%.
time they're spent in the schools.
No, just in Oakland, we do different, that's all. That's why I asked 75%.
Well, what it is, they work those years. When school's not in session, when there's a snow day, when there's vacation, they work for all the taxpayers.
I mean, they're still working.
Yeah.
It just, but the school wouldn't pay for the time they're not working in the school.
Oh, no, it doesn't cover the vehicle.
Right, fuel.
Just wages.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They're worth their weight in gold,
Yes, they are.
Well, yeah.
having been a school teacher.
God bless them.
Seeing no more discussion, all those in favor? That was 7-0. Is there any motion on? You get the right type here, surplus from undesignated funds. Total balance of undesignated funds was stated to be about 1.86 something.
Oh, you mean from the transfer?
Well, reserve account. Because there's 1.7 in the jail and 171,000 in the general fund. And fund balances do need to cover operating costs until revenues are received. And they need to cover unanticipated revenues, unanticipated expenses. So you can't decimate that.
Oh, yeah. They
But
carry,
it's a wage-
they carry over 6 million of that 1.7. So 1.8, so yeah.
I think in most of our, I can't say that. In my town, which I know about, we always try to keep our undesignated surplus funds, they're not super surplus. Our undesignated fund balance reserves at the auditor's recommended level between 2 and 3 months of operating expenses. You know, when we have an excess of that, we take that and use it to reduce the expense line. So it keeps the mill rate lower.
Commitment.
Right.
That's what we
Yeah.
do.
So it's I think most towns do that. We're hearing maybe Belgrade keeps a lot of fund balance. And then borrows money, which costs money, okay? So it's reasonable to consider using some of the fund balance that he has to
So
reduce the tax burden.
I have a question. Total estimated revenues in this, on this page, 420. 4,220,000. We just added 250,000 in anticipated revenue.
Yeah.
So we need to add that to that figure.
Yes.
Is that a yes, Scott?
Well, whatever you just did on revenue sheet will carry over to the tax distribution schedule.
So
Right.
we would have to add 250 to the 4,200,000.
Well, we don't have to add that. We did it.
So
We don't have to add it to the total. We add it to the itemized. It'll automatically go. We don't have to make a third motion.
Okay.
But in thinking about it, it reduces the burden from 22,778 by 250,000.
Right.
Which will bring down,
it'll offset the increases that we
Also
also.
more than that.
yeah, well, we
Yeah,
only
you
have
only had
31,000.
32,000
Right, right.
increases.
Right.
So far.
Oh, tonight's gonna be interesting. We are leaving at 7, even though we're running over on this point. Okay. I'm not hearing if there's any interest in keeping any of the surplus fund to reduce the budget.
Who are you asking?
I asked again at this budget committee. I'm gonna move on to the next item.
I'd like to reconsider that once we get through with the entire,
Okay,
just.
is that all right with everybody?
Yep.
Okay. So moving on now to item E, still under financial review. Administration, we talked about last week that the county administrator's, salary was renegotiated by the commissioners from 143,16 to 148,022. We didn't have a specific amount last week.
You take a motion, Mr. Chairman?
I will.
I would make a motion that under Department 1022, line item A 001-1022-3100, County Administrator's salary is budgeted at $148,022. Which is a 3.5, with same pay increase and percentage as most or some of the other.
Is there a second? I'll second it. Is there discussion?
I got a question.
Okay,
You got moving from $143,016 to $148, is that including the COLA? So we're gonna go,
That is it. That is it.
that's not the COLA.
no, COLA is 5,000 and.
Half of that was the COLA, I believe.
Oh, no,
I'm going with this.
In
that's
the,
a 3.5% raise for this year.
No, it's a
Seven.
7% increase.
Well, then I missed.
Because it's 3.5 in COLA automatic, and then it's 3.5 off of that.
Then I misinterpreted, so I
Scott.
apologize.
that line is in which tab?
It's under the administration tab and executive.
So it's tab 7.
It's, tab 7.
All be on the same.
That's seven.
So I believe last week there was a 3.5.
No, it's under tab 7, it's the second page in 7.
So there was a
First page.
3.5% increase. It was given as the COLA on the printed page. And that was listed at
I misunderstood.
153,016, which is the number this motion is moving from. So we're moving from the COLA raise to the experience increase. I don't know what else to call it. Merit increase,
But, well, then,
which is
This
another
discussion-
3.5%.
I
Yes,
misunderstood.
discussion is open.
Um,
See, now if I hadn't seconded that, we wouldn't be talking about it.
no, I know. Well, I appreciate it. Oh, we've gone down. Now I know why.
Is this then we do the COLA? Is my question.
Everybody else?
Are we gonna do this then the COLA?
I looked at the
Excuse
increase.
me, just a minute, John. To answer your question, the 143 includes the COLA.
143 includes COLA,
The 148 includes the merit increase.
which is another $5,000.
No.
Yes, essentially,
5,000
Yeah.
143 to 148.
$5,004, $6 and some odd cents.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So,
I
so that's
done my
almost,
math.
so we're talking about almost a $9,000 raise.
It was 1, 38.
That COLA,
It'll be
three point
148.
five, and I say it again, COLA for the Northeast region is 3% this year, not 3.5. And if you'd like to look at that, I have that information here with me. If you'd like to look at it, and that's done by CPI in Northeast region. So we're going to, and I'm not knocking Scott, I'm just saying that, you know, I said it right before, and Ken's here, and I'll say it in front of him and anybody else too. Anybody making over $100,000 this year, I'm sorry, our taxpayers are hurting. We are hurting, and thank God we're talking about separating this down, Patsy, and giving them 2 chances to pay in each town. So we're talking an $8,000 raise. So, I have a good question, it's just a question.
It's actually 10.
Yeah. So how many hours a week, are you here working?
Here,
Yeah.
I'm on 24/7. Patsy called me last night at 9 o'clock.
Wow. So, okay, so you're 24/7 person,
Anytime anybody wants to call me, I'll pretty much answer my phone.
okay?
He does.
And Ken is, I am, and a lot of us others are too, okay? And you are too, thank you, thank you.
And actually, when the temperatures were below freezing, I actually came and walked through the buildings just to make sure the pipes weren't bursting. So, you know, Dan did it. His team was in here. I came in just to, you know, double check. So,
We check DNA.
and actually, when I'm on vacation, these guys are talking to me too.
Well, that's not good. Vacation is to have a mental break from what
Yeah.
you're responsible for.
And then come back to do about 1,000 emails and a bunch of other crap.
No. So, okay, so
Like three.
So yes, you come in at certain time. I just, and I said it and I'll say it again, any person making over $100,000 this year throughout the county, this is not the private sector. This is a public sector. We are not generating revenue like the sheriff said. And Megan, I'm sorry, I'm picking on you too. You're on call 24/7. Shay, you're on call 24/7. You're 24/7. Damn sure, I know you are. I know that. And that's the way life is. There's not a lot of our constituents in this county making 50,000, let alone 148,000. I really think that, no, $10,000 raise in 1 year, $9,000 what it figures out to be in 1 year is a little extravagant. And I get it. I know a lot of people that work from home. And God bless them if they can. I'm not one of those people. But at the same time, I know how much little work is getting done at home, you know, when they're working from home.
If I may,
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm
That's
sorry,
not
I'm talking.
right.
I'm sorry, I'm talking. I won't interrupt you. I won't interrupt you.
You're not talking about anyone
I'm not talking
specifically.
about anybody specific. I'm just talking, a lot of people out there don't do tons and tons and tons of work, but they get the leisure from working on their porch. But to give someone a $9,000, $10,000 raise, I just have a hard time with that because our constituents are really hurting for money. And I'm just, that's just my humble opinion. And I think we went across the board at 3.5% for COLA. There's no law, there's no rule. The state, every state employee did not get a raise this year. Some people might get a $300 raise. There's nothing in law where states you have to get a raise of COLA for the Northeast region or for any region. And I know that, you know, our towns do it, our county does it. And like you said, to keep good employees, we have some tremendous employees in the county. But we up here have a job to do to watch out for our constituents and watch out for their best behalf, because we can tax them right out of a home so everyone else can live very, very comfortably in their home. And I'm worried about our constituents. And I'm also worried about this gentleman and this gentleman, because the more we tax people, the harder times they're gonna get, and the more crime rate is gonna go up. And then she's gonna be busy, and you're gonna be busy, and you're gonna be busy.
That's called job security.
As police officer.
Sorry, needed a little levity there. I got a question back.
yeah, just a comment. So, I did lose 2 employees, because they could get pay, in a, higher pay in another, job. So one was private sector. Yeah, the other though was a town. So the private sector paid 10,000 more, the town paid, it was between 20 and 25,000 more than the county could. And we lost them as a planner. And, you know, we hired them as a planner, I think we do pay, a good, you know, wage, for our planners, but they can do better at the town level. They can get paid more. And so I just wanted to add that. It is something to consider. And so that is why, you know, I did ask for, the 3.5 and then for my 2 hourly, the 1% increase to try to, you know, maintain that, to try to be competitive. So just wanted to add. Thank you, John.
Yeah, I want to make sure that the record knows that that is Mike's personal opinion, is that people that work from home don't necessarily work, and not mine at all. I don't believe in that. And just want to make that sure the record shows.
And I didn't say everybody, I'm just saying this.
I don't, in general, I'm not gonna, I won't support that statement.
That's fine, you don't have to.
Period. No, I don't.
So in my
I want to
opinion,
make sure.
I've seen people who work from home have.
That's the point. I want to make sure the record shows it's his opinion.
Okay.
I have a question.
1 second. What are we discussing right now?
3.5%. I made a motion.
The motion on the floor is salary for the county administrator. Okay, so we're back to that.
Question.
Yes.
And I didn't realize the double, but that's regardless. Is that a contract that's been,
It was
as I recall, there's a contract negotiated
Correct.
contract.
His contract was supposed to be done in November. We did not get to it until maybe 3 weeks ago. So it has, part of that should have gone on in November, which it will now. And that's the 3.5% for his contract. We reviewed his contract. We felt that he had done a good job with it. And we gave him the 3.5%. That was a vote by the 3 commissioners. Unanimous vote? It was the 3 commissioners vote.
Okay,
And then the 3.5 COLA would come on in July 1, when everybody else's does. So for the total for, right, but it did start in November, should have,
well, it'll be retroactive.
right,
So it did start.
yeah. But I mean, you wouldn't even be discussing it as being part, as 7%.
No, I understand.
Yeah,
No,
okay,
Still be saying.
I didn't understand, but it,
yeah, that's all right.
all right.
Well, it's one of the things that as a budget committee, we have to understand is that we can't determine the contracts. What we can determine is the amount of money the county has to spend. And if we don't support it in a particular line and the commissioners want to support it, they have to find it somewhere else in the budget to use. Or,
Or they override us and we have to come back to a 2/3 vote to override them.
Yes.
yes, but even if, yes,
Yes. Short answer, yes.
Message.
but even if we override them, they've still signed a contract with the person in question here.
Exactly.
And they're going to pay that. It's just they're going to pay it out of the undesignated fund balance, really. When overtime runs over in the jail or in any department, but typically the jail and the sheriff have the most overtime. That's where it comes from. I mean, we haven't approved it, but it has to be paid because it was earned and that's legal, so that's what you do. So seeing no further discussion, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, all opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4. I have to write down the opposition. It was 3 to 4. Sean, were you opposed?
Yes.
Okay. Ray. Charlie. For anyone who doesn't understand why that has to be done, if motions want to be reopened, they can only be reopened by someone who voted in the affirmative,
Correct.
to reconsider something. And so it matters who said what. Okay. Item 2. Okay, the sheriff's line. We had talked last week about reducing the amount of overtime, and the sheriff, asked to be permitted time to consider an amount before we made a decision. So until we really discussed it even. Decision, and, Ken sent out a nice email to us this week, last week, Friday.
I think it was last week.
So do you want to say?
Well, and again, I'll just highlight it. It was really like kind of three things. I had come up with the idea, leave the, overtime the way it is and cut one of the, new deputy positions. I don't think that was a good idea. The, chief came up with, keeping the two deputy positions and maybe cutting 200,000. I didn't think that was a good idea. And I'll tell you why. Because with those two extra positions coming on and keeping that overtime at the 500,000, I suggested cutting 25,000. So it was an even 500,000. What that'll do is once we get everybody up to speed and all these people are working, whatever the overtime comes out to be at the end of the next budget, that's going to give us a really good snapshot of where we need to be in as far as overtime in that line moving forward. And whatever decision you make, that's what you make. You're gonna have to live with that, and I will. But I really like my last idea was to leave everything alone except for cutting 25,000 from that from the OT budget. That would address what Ray had to say about the salary increase for my command staff.
The three top people.
Right.
Thank you. Discussion from the
Don't get.
board.
John.
I guess they want to talk to you.
Yeah, no, Ken, your average overtime for 1, 2, 3, 4 years is somewhere around $340,000. But we've added, the budget committee or the commissioners have added, I think, deputies every year.
We have for
The last 4 or 5 years, at least that I'm aware of.
and the reason beyond
No,
that,
let me ask my
because
question.
the reduction in the rule patrol by the state police, another unfunded mandate.
Who? Unfunded mandates, but, who controls the overtime? How is it controlled?
It's really a beast that it's very difficult to control. If we can overlap a shift, or we, as in myself, or the lieutenant or the chief can cover part of a day shift, so we don't have to pay overtime, we will, but we have to backfill it to a minimum number of deputies out on the street, no matter when it is, to protect not only the public, but our deputies.
But who,
And what
So-
is that number?
4 per shift.
Thank you.
so if somebody is going to go on overtime, who checks it and says, okay, you can? Is that self-checked?
Well, it's usually the scheduling, the staff sergeant will do it, or the lieutenant, but it generally goes to staff sergeant utility, does all the scheduling.
And it has to be entered into a computer and approved by a supervisor who they're the only ones who have access to approve over. An individual cannot.
And do they have to ask for it?
No, there's
But if they,
two.
you know,
Sometimes they're ordered to do it.
I won't tell you, my law enforcement experience has been on the other side of the table. But it's not been on your side, I'll tell you that. So if a deputy, and I'm trying to find out, because I want to get more information. If a deputy, if they stop somebody, make an arrest or something, they have to do a report.
Yes.
Can they do the report? Do they have to get, I mean, if they do it a half an hour before their shift ends, they end up sitting down in overtime for 4 hours to do a report? Or can they carry it over and do it? Are they encouraged to carry it over the next day, let's say?
I'd like to give you a canned answer, but I can't, because some situations are different. They must be probable cause affidavit to hold the person in jail if they're in custody. That's a must, whether it takes an hour or two after their shift, or they get it done during their shift, has to be done. Now, depending on the case, it may be very complex. They're gonna have to scratch out something, notes, something in the computer, type something, because if they go home and sleep for 12 hours, they're gonna go home and forget 20% of what they just did. That's what the stats tell me. They're not gonna remember all the little details.
You're answering my
They have to
question.
have.
Thank you.
Because there are times when we'll find things out, we're like, and we'll look in and be like, it doesn't happen much now. Be like, what happened here? Because they didn't scratch anything down.
And when you're looking at the overtime stuff, there's so much more significant, because I believe Scott did the projections based on the way we were headed last fall. When we hit the perfect storm, we lost 2 deputies to Waterville PD because they got $9 an hour more. And we had people get hurt, and then we were down, and we were hurt. And that's when we went from probably 10 to 15 ordered shifts a year to 30 a month. You're working, you're working. It was just a bad fall. We had 2 people at the academy. There were 2 slots that were paying overtime on the bill. So when we got everybody back now, we're only down, we got 1 guy just started today. He green pin, so he's gonna require training. We're looking to get 1 more. We get that, we're up to full staff, which is gonna reduce the number of shifts that people have ordered in to fill those slots. And yes, we went from 50% of the county to 2/3. And the state police said, we're not doing it.
It is very hard to sit here and look at a long-term average of $330,000 and then look at a $225,000 increase. I mean, that's when I know, I mean, that's a hard,
Had we kept pace
Yeah,
on
that's a hard-
the way we were going.
that's a
we'd
hard, that's a hard pill to swallow.
Sean?
Can I ask you a question? Have you
Yes.
taken in consideration about the new paid family leave time that can get up to 12 weeks off? That in this whole part of the overtime? That's a big concern for me as a business owner,
Right.
Yeah, it's you.
because you still have to cover that.
Do.
And I know we're looking at, you're talking $25,000 and, but have you considered the main leave into this whole thing? And if you're wanting to cut that part?
There's no way to figure that out because.
Well, I know, because it's all new coming up.
You don't know who's gonna take it or what's.
They
gonna
can get up to
happen.
12 weeks
It's-
and they're
it's
going.
bad. That's real
Relate
bad.
And I think for the paid family is 435.
Thank you.
Well, that's just the contribution.
But that's the cost of what it costs to have it.
To have it.
But now you've got somebody who can take up to 12 weeks off and you gotta pay the overtime because they're gone. You're still paying the person even though they're getting paid on the paid live.
Depending on the person.
Right,
If they're a
depending on the
patrol
person.
deputy, that has to be replaced. And administrative staff, no, you'll get it when you get back to work and you'll go through the files.
So my concern is cut the overtime if that has been put into the factors of the
If we
overtime
could
budget.
come up with a figure, that's probably that I would say no at this point, we can't. Can't figure.
No, you can't. It's all new. It's a whole new program. We don't know what people are gonna take. Somebody has a kid, somebody gets hurt, you get up to 12 weeks.
I'm sure if we just leave things alone, this will really give us a great snapshot of what our actuals should be. Like 9 years, 2 months, 18 days ago when I started, the overtime budget was $85,000. Okay, it was far lower than it ever should have been. Working with the commissioners and the then county administrator, I want to say the first year I got it up to like 145. It still wasn't enough. And we've been climbing up for the needs that we have out on the roads. So that's it. That's what I got.
Escalation, escalation of the crimes and the drugs and the mental illness, and it just, and it's all, it's a never ending story. Trips at the hospital, whatever it is.
Any other comments? So my concern is that, well, let's go back to the first option of, well, let's just reduce a full-time person and we'll pay it with overtime. I think that's 100% irresponsible of us, of you, if you did it, which you will not be. We're funding those, we've already discussed that. It's foolish to pay time and a half for something that can be bought for time. So I wouldn't even consider that. But we did find 2 new positions.
Yes.
And I think those 2 new positions are going to largely affect your overtime. It's not going to take it away because, as you said, there is always going to be some. I like the amount of $200,000 as a reduction. I think that's reasonable. It is in the average that John, you said was approximately 340,000 a year.
Something like that.
We could make it 340, it doesn't matter to me, but, I think by giving the 2 new positions, you're not going to have all those mandatory overtime shifts. I understand, we went through this with the jail. There's startup time, because you've got to hire somebody, you've got to vet them. It takes a month and a half or 2.5 months, and then they have to be trained, or we're paying a premium to get a loop in. That, that's all in there, but I think that's part of that $300,000. Because you've already been doing that. You already haven't had them, so you're already covering that. So once we can hire 2 more people, I just think it's more responsible of us to leave the overtime closer to what it has been. And if it ends up being more next year, then we can evaluate what went wrong.
And that is one of the avenues to take. My thoughts with this were to stop or to keep it down so that we're not constantly going to our reserves. All right, and pulling those out and weakening that. We all know that getting it too low is a bad idea. So that was my thoughts with doing it the way that I had recommended. If you choose to do that way. Right.
Well, it'll essentially be 4 new positions that are filled because you're hiring 2 that have been unfilled currently. And then there will be 2 more coming. So with 4 more regular options, it seems like we don't need to have that large of an increase as we had this year.
Let's go 100. That would make me feel a little bit more warm and fluffy.
So from 525 to 425?
I just think $200,000 is gonna be too much. We're gonna be something, if something catastrophic again, like the perfect storm happened to us last year that we've been talking about. We're gonna, and we just can't control that. But that's,
Yeah, we'd like to say a full staff. It's great to be at full staff. Let's hope it stays a full staff. I wish that for you.
so we'll leave it up to you.
And you want me to make a motion or are you gonna have me make it? Said that. Mike, okay,
Did we take, we've already gleaned on this, just before we go too far, we've already gleaned $200,000 in the revenue side, correct?
250.
250 on the
I
revenue
think it
side.
was-
So let's take and only do his, $425,000, like the sheriff just said. Keeping his, adding on his new patrols and do that. Decrease it to that.
What is your motion?
You gave me a lot of explanation. Can we bring that
Give the motion,
into?
we
We want to
motion,
reduce,
instead of 525,000 on overtime, drop it down to $425,000.
okay, so give me a second. So move to decrease. It's in the minutes, right? It's all right, I've got it, 3606. From 525 to 425. A decrease,
Yeah, 3606.
yeah. That's a decrease of $100,000. That's is there a second?
I'll second.
John?
You want?
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Look at that. We've worked awesome together. It was 7-0. Compromise is good. Okay, now capital investment planning. So since we just funded, since we just increased a few things and increased a few others, which came to a net decrease. I'm gonna ask Eric, John, Ray, or Charlie to report out on the workshop that we had on capital investment planning. Never mind. You were Eric and Charlie.
Oh, here we go.
Now we're getting somewhere.
Okay, so this is. So Charlie, Eric, Ray, or John.
Majority's down there.
Give us the general gist of what we were talking about, and then a moment at the end by somebody.
Unfortunately, didn't take very accurate notes. So I need to really,
Just looking for the general flavor.
well, the general idea was to add approximately $200,000 to capital investment plan. The thought process at the beginning was 200,000 from the overtime line. We offset that, but now that we've revamped some things, I still think we have $200,000 to apply towards the capital investments plan. And there were big projects made mention of during the discussion. Dan can identify the two big ones. I know one was the elevator, the other was.
One air conditioning,
So I thought.
for the first 3
Want to double check with you. And two projects together are approximately
I just got estimates, the other day, and these, it hasn't gone out to RFP, so, but the estimates were in the 115,000 for one elevator, in that range, an average. We have 3 elevators to do, one being in the admin section of the jail, one being in the courthouse, and one being in this building. And then the air conditioner units in the attic space of the courthouse. We have 3 of them up there, and they're all in the 25-year range. They all need replacement at approximately, 50-ish, I believe, 1,000 for each of those. Are large units, and it takes a crane to put them in.
And your intentions or your hopes are to do one elevator and one air conditioner
Yes, and then there's other smaller projects.
out of this budget.
And then, and then
Smaller project.
there's some other small things that we need there, yes.
And the plan was to go 3 years out really with that. One elevator, one air conditioner for 3 years.
Yes. Yeah, I think I think what the meeting that we had, we came to that number as a good number to go 10 years out, would give us decent funding to tackle some of these large projects.
I can't go 10 years, but that's all right.
No, that was just the plan.
I know.
That was the thought.
I'd love to go 10 years.
I think if we make it 3, we'll be.
No, not yet.
John, want to add anything?
No, I think that was pretty succinct. Just, we spent a lot of time looking at it, but felt that, it was warranted to make a capital investment plan. Dan was able, or I think will be hiring a journeyman to, do some of the things that I think allow us to reduce our CIP by a couple $100,000 by doing that. So, we were encouraged by hearing that, and I think it's a good payback. The other $100,000, we got to talk about where we pull it from. We got 100 coming in OT that we took.
Well, we brought 250 up in revenues.
So we're gonna just allow it to float out of revenue? I mean, and which is fine.
Well, there's also the $25,000 number that was for the MD3 program that we removed earlier.
Well, yeah,
That's already been accounted.
that's already been accounted for, but do we need,
That's been
my
accounted.
point is, do we need a motion to move any other money? I guess my question,
Scott can answer that.
or just make a motion to establish a $200,000 CIP and let the commissioners and finance deal with it.
So Scott, I think John's question
I
is,
think,
what do we need as a motion for an account?
well, I guess the question is, first question is the 100,000 that you took from overtime. So if your intent is to move that into a capital line, then that would be your first motion.
Okay, so you do need a motion for that.
Do we need
But which
a
line?
capital line though? Because we discussed having to have
A general,
special.
So I would suggest A001 2075 7206.
2075,
Yep.
Yeah,
Tab
2075,
14,
2075.
right,
7206.
7206, which is capital improvements.
I didn't get the last four,
So very last line on
just the last four
Tab.
digits.
7206,
Thank you.
sorry,
And what's its title?
capital improvements.
capital projects. Improvement.
There are two lines there. I think.
No, one says capital reserve, which is property improvements, that's 7205. One says capital projects, which is 7206. Then it says capital improvements under object description.
Dan, this is just an aside.
Holy smoke.
Your phrasing, you have, when we were meeting, you had capital projects and capital
Improvement.
improvements. So you, the things you are working on with your department, you're calling capital projects.
Improvement. And
improvement,
then the capital projects would be,
are the big
I mean,
things.
I
it's
think it's
just a name.
semantics, yeah.
It's just.
Right, I just want to be sure
But
that,
yeah,
because we all talked about being supportive of our department and naming things so that we didn't get confused over time.
and I think the projects is fine because that just lets everyone know that these are the capital projects that we are setting this.
That's the line, stick it quick.
Capital investment plan.
Well,
Yeah,
that-
I think
that was
you want to
that
use
was the title.
7206.
That was the title we
Yeah.
sort of settled on, was capital investments,
Plan.
That's fine, yeah.
to designate it or separate it.
Sure, sure.
Capital, just general capital improvements.
I mean, I can spend it no matter what you call it.
Well,
But we also wanted to be clear that there were multiple things that your department is going to tackle
Correct,
that we're not listing specifically.
correct.
And we are specifically listing the big projects because they're important to be done to maintain the integrity of the buildings and the property that county owns. And so that's, I think it's important to note that in the workshop, we committed to bringing up the proposal to fund this moving forward.
Yes.
And I believe Scott Atkins told us, maybe Audrey will recognize this number, there's like 180,000 right now in capital projects.
He's got his
Is that the number he gave us?
carryover, yeah, something.
And then this 200,000 gives him about 400,000 to work with. That includes stuff for the journeyman and the department, as well as the big projects. And that our intention is to continue doing this in years moving forward, so that the county can start having a plan where we tick things off and add in the new things that need to be added, but not just keep making the list longer without ticking anything off.
That's right.
Okay.
Motion,
Great, so. What about the other money that we want to put in? Do we need to specify where that's coming from?
I would say, first motion, I think should be moving it from the overtime to. So it's clear what you're doing.
Right, so is there someone who's willing to make that motion?
with a motion to move the overtime money from the sheriff's department, and I don't have the number.
$100,000.
Well,
Yeah,
I know the amount, I don't have the.
Right, well, you need to state the amount, okay,
$100,000.
it's the one ending in 3606.
A 001-1075-3606.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Two.
The new line,
The new one.
the capital projects, which is A 001
Investments,
2075 7206.
that one. That's my motion.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Is there any discussion? Should have said further discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor? That's unanimous.
Now we have to find another $100,000. Or make a motion to take it out of surplus.
I would say to take it out if we increase revenue amounts. Can we do that, Scott?
it's an offset.
Right,
I mean, you can,
Do you need a motion for that or it just happened?
no,
uh,
well, we haven't
if you,
set it aside yet,
That's
so
right,
you
you're
need
if
to
you
have,
increase this budgetary line, you've increased it now to 140. If you want to increase it to 240, you will need a motion.
and that's the intention.
I will make a motion that we take part of the $100,000 out of the anticipated revenue increase, transfer that to the same line.
Capital investment.
Yeah, whatever the number was. On the list,
She has it right here.
7206.
Yes.
And I'll second that motion.
That also. And that was John and Ray. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? That is unanimous. We did it, Dan.
Go forth and take some of it.
You better come back fired next year.
Yeah,
Real tired.
well, not too tired. We want that shoulder to heal.
All right.
He's gonna.
Okay.
Getting close, Mr. Chair.
G, yes, we are. So we are on 4G, which is the tax impacts.
We can do that,
So,
the changes we've made.
prior to us going to a public hearing, we really need to have an amount if we're proposing in a new fee schedule, right, for the towns. I know you can't do that right now, but should we move to ask Scott to have this updated prior to posting the materials for the public hearings?
Just hang on.
Or he's over there playing magic.
He's feeding this computer into a.
Excel spreadsheets. Just
Don't want to do that, but the next one, we say, well, that's short.
Okay. We had new requests from the budget committee chair. And I also had, which we can handle. I'll wait till Scott comes back. We really need to ask him that, right? We had a request from the district attorney, Megan Maloney, to address the committee concerning the motion we made at our last meeting. Does anyone object to her doing that?
No.
Come on up. I didn't.
Very brief. I emailed it to everyone, but the request was that I would read it to make sure it's official. So I'm just gonna read what I emailed because it makes it brief. So I'm writing to thank the members of the Budget Committee for acknowledging the great work being done by the domestic violence, sexual assault, elder and child abuse investigators. They really are heroes, and it's amazing that you saw them as such. When I addressed you on March 11, I requested that you approve funds to be used to increase the wages of the 2 domestic violence, sexual assault, elder and child abuse investigators in the DA's office. While I stand behind the motivations for making this request, I understand that such wage changes can only be made through collective bargaining with the sole and exclusive bargaining agent for those employees, the Fraternal Order of Police. In order to correct the error, I request that the Budget Committee leave the funds approved for those wage increases in the budget with the understanding that they will only be used to fund the DBI wage increases if there is a proper amendment to the CBA following negotiations with the FOP, which are to begin in August. If the wage increases are not ultimately, no, actually, they're beginning in July. If the wage increases are not ultimately approved, the funds will be left unused and will not be allocated to any other purpose. Thank you.
Thank you for clarifying that. Is everybody clear on what happened? Do we agree to leaving things as they stand and allowing that money to roll forward and carry forward if it's not used?
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Certainly don't want to do anything illegal. Okay, Scott, while you were gone, well, let's not do that. So Scott just revised the numbers and gave us a new schedule. So the overall tax impact schedule is reduced to 9.3% from 9.9%, given the actions of the Budget Committee through everything we did this evening. And that's probably why, sorry, Mike, we pay you a lot, Scott. Because you can do things like this, along with your other great staff as well. So are we satisfied with this to move forward to our public hearings? Yes, okay. While I'm asking that question, I want the short list of people who think they're going to come to the hearing next week in Waterville versus those who can't come. So whichever list is shorter.
Which hand do you want?
How many of you are planning that you can attend? Okay, this is the short list.
You said can or cannot?
Can.
Can.
Can attend. Sorry, you don't have to keep your hands up. So that was Sean. And was that you, John?
Yes.
And I will be there.
I should be there as well.
And Charlie. Mike, no.
Yeah, we argue about that.
We just leave that.
Okay.
Argue about-
And then, it's important for all of us to try and attend if we can. The meeting the following week, which is, I'll stop. Scott, question.
I just want to make sure everybody understands we are not meeting at the Chase Forum. We're meeting at the City of Waterville Annex. Okay,
And
so,
that's the address that's on the invite.
yes, so that's different because we couldn't get the forum, it was already booked. So, just want to make sure everybody knows, and that is posted on the website, I think.
And it's on tonight's agenda.
Yes, it is.
Right.
The other thing too is the package that goes to the public hearing is the final package that you see on the website for all of our budgets. So what you've been working off is an object level, line by line detail. So it's going to be different, but it will be the same.
The same amounts, different presentation.
Correct.
Got it.
It's important. I'll say this. Our next meeting on April 1st is not a joke. It's April Fool's Day, but we're going to have the public hearing here for the southern part of the county. And the plan is, barring any unforeseen feedback from the public at either of these hearings, that we would then do our vote on the budget.
Yep.
Scott,
Just one last thing. I did talk about, Unity. That's part of this as well,
yes,
which you guys will need to vote on.
it's the last page. in the
Yeah,
full
it's
packet.
in the back. The only thing that happened there is like, the increase looks like it's astronomical, only because the number's small. And I put a reserve in there for road improvements because they have 2 brand new roads up there. And we want to keep them in good shape. So I want to start building a reserve for the maintenance of those 2 roads.
Okay.
And
Sorry,
we actually had the state come in and try to explain how all the UTs work and the taxes go out. That was a complete waste of time because he didn't enlighten us at all. I think it just goes into this huge pool and the state works its magic. So I don't think they're gonna see much of an increase, to be quite honest with you. So, but I went up in January to their annual meeting, handed out that sheet to them all, and nobody said anything.
Everybody nodded?
Yeah.
how many people were there?
30.
Yeah, about 30 some odd.
I'm shocked.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was the very last page in the packet. I think it may have even been in the back cover. Wasn't in a tab. Okay, so we're almost done.
We're about to, have everybody here on April Fool's Day.
Yes.
Talking about that.
Right, so, but just everybody knows, I mean, things come up and you can't attend and you understand that, but I just want you to know that we're probably gonna vote on the budget that night. If we're not gonna be because something really
Because we can't.
phenomenal happens, then we'll have been in touch via email. Like, we have a crisis, you know, the public revolted because we dropped the budget some. So there were new requests that came from Lloyd. Yes,
I'm
Scott?
sorry. I think what your motion now is gonna be is to move it up to the commission. And let them move it back down to you, so we're probably gonna need to have a special meeting next week. For them to move it down, so it gets moved to the public hearing. I didn't think about that until Patsy just mentioned it.
So we have to approve the budget prior to,
Well,
Public
you're just,
hearing?
all you're doing is, moving it to the commission.
To send it to.
Recommend our budget.
Right.
Your recommended budget to them. And then if it comes back with any changes, which I highly doubt it will, you know, then you're all set to go. I didn't think about that.
so if they don't make any changes, we don't need to take another vote then. But I thought we agreed that we weren't going to have that vote until after the public had a chance to have input.
Well, we can do it. When we think about this.
I don't think we had a.
We've got to call a special meeting that's got to be advertised
So
as a special
the
meeting.
problem is that, well, maybe what we could do is this. Is as long as all the commissioners are here on the first, okay?
Yeah.
You can move the budget to them.
Yep.
They can approve it then we can do all the signing.
Right, and I think what we did last year was we convened for 10 minutes to sign the budget.
Yeah.
That's all that matters, yeah.
Yeah, but you can sign it right after the public hearing if you want to. Unless there are changes and you
Well,
guys
if
sit
they
there and
want to make
say,
changes.
yeah, well, you'll move it to them. If they've got nothing, they'll move it back to you.
All at the same time,
Yep.
Yeah,
moments after.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not going to move the budget tonight.
Would make,
well, you're gonna move to the public hearing. That's pretty much it.
Right, we're moving to the public hearing, but not to the commissioners, no, because I think it's important for the public to have a chance to say something.
I agree.
don't have a hearing after. Keep a budget. I'd like
Yeah,
to.
what we did last year, which I thought was sort of a mistake, is we had the public hearing, then you came back and you made some changes, but we never had another public hearing. Oh, did I say that?
Being recorded.
No.
Okay.
That wasn't my idea.
So good. So I'm not recording any of that because it's not a change. And it's already in the minutes. So now I'm moving on to the
Thank
new
you.
requests from the Budget Committee Chair. They were put into the packet. Lloyd had requested some metric data sheets by department. A vehicle list of the county-owned vehicles with the assigned personnel noted. And was the county budget made available to town and city managers? I believe, I don't think you sent it out specifically, but
It's on
you
the
did put the
website.
budget on the website.
Everything's on the website.
So there's a little button you can click. So I suppose an email to all. I don't know. Is it possible to do either of the other requests? Do you want to respond to those?
Well, some of the folks did it. We weren't quite sure what the metrics were. And the point that I made in my email response to you folks is I can give you metrics, but what are you actually comparing them to? If you've got nothing to compare them to, they're standalone. So what do they actually mean? But,
I didn't understand the request. I gotta tell
Yeah.
you, son.
so,
I was watching.
normally you look at an industry, they have their own statistics.
Oh, yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Came up with something.
I just didn't understand the request.
I think that's something that we could. About via email, maybe a little
Yeah.
bit, and
I
then.
think, I
if
think
we
like
want to
what
make
the,
it
the DA's
discussion,
office
even in
did was
public
good,
hearing.
like the number of type of cases they do,
Right.
jail statistics, which, you know,
We got quite a few metrics.
yeah.
I think those are interesting.
I think that's all Lloyd was asking for, pretty much for those metrics there.
Getting some numbers.
Yeah. When available, or if.
For instance, if the jail ended up with only 62 people in the jail, then the budget probably needs to drop. Wouldn't that be a dream, huh?
The paper I gave you tonight, are the program metrics.
Yes.
We're good.
Right. And so based on that discussion via email with Lloyd and Eric, Scott and I sent along, which is included in the packet tonight, the articles that I wrote last year for the Reedfield newsletter. And what I did was I took all of the sheets that you folks nicely wrote up last year when you were asked to, and I stole the highlights from that. It's not this year's current data, but I think if you post that to the public, if you read it, you can't really say I oppose county government spending afterwards. That's my opinion.
No,
And I want you
Thank you.
to, I want you to know for all the hours I spent doing that, I got exactly 0 responses. Maybe thanked me, but no one else replied. And so it just
I
gets chalked up to,
other people.
here's the transparency, people. Don't complain to me if you don't bother to read anything. Or maybe you read it and you were like, well, I don't want to talk to her now.
They read it and they thought you were brilliant.
Then you can tell me, you know.
I didn't want to feel stupid, so they didn't ask anything. That's the other end.
Okay,
Moving on.
we also got the Maine County Corrections Professional Standards Council report as of January 15th. Did you print that out for us or just email it?
I think it's in your package.
Okay, I didn't look.
Yeah, you know, that's like a crapshoot.
Right, but Lloyd wanted us to have it,
Yeah.
so
Well,
have information
I'm
and that's.
gonna, I got a question after I'll ask you, because I don't, there's stuff in here that's written. But
Sure.
there's a real significant point in this thing. Who is this, what's the council?
The Professional Standards Council?
Well, I mean, they say the council does acknowledge that there's a difference between expenses that counties feel should be funded by the state and expenses that actually meet the definition of an unfunded mandate under the Maine Constitution requiring 90% of state. So they're.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so this, and then they go on to say, because of this, we're not gonna do anything.
Right. Pretty much. Yeah.
That's what a line of baloney.
Yeah.
God's a member of that.
Well,
I won't challenge that. You know? It's unbelievable.
I
actually moved
You should sit in criminal justice. You want your head to spin? You know what their new solution is? So we had, well, way back when we had the CAC report, Then we had the State Board of Correction. Now we have the Professional Standards Council. They want another committee.
I know, I saw that. They want to form it between multiple counties.
Yeah,
Us and what? One of the other ones.
well, it's a common, and guess who gets to appoint everybody? No,
Oh, I thought,
Commissioner of Corrections.
Oh, yeah.
don't go there.
They, you know,
I don't want to go any
They
further.
give them great ideas and then they don't do anything.
It's all about the money.
I think I can say, and the Maine Municipal Association Legislative Policy Committee, I believe, did not support that piece of legislation.
There we have it.
There you go.
We are now
That is good.
after our time. I believe we've hit all of our business items. Does anyone have anything else?
I want a motion to adjourn.
Thank you all.
I got to say.
Stay up. You too.